Hi everyone, it's Chris at Tropical Discovery Workshops here. I hope you're well and happy Friday. So the reason for this video, I did a workshop at a local school and this young lad, he was absolutely fascinated by the animals, especially the insects and especially the praying mantis. So he asked loads of questions. How to look after them, how big the tank needs to be, best one to get, the food for them, etc. So I gave the school's teacher, or the actual class teacher, my card and said, give this to his mum or dad if he wants one, because he was expressing an interest in getting one. And then the mum or dad can contact me and then I can give them a rough outline, a rough idea of care sheet, etc. She did contact me. So I thought I'll give her a brief outline, but then I said, I'll tell you what, I'll do a short video, a basic care sheet or a care video on how to look after them. And then if you decide to get one for your boy, let me know and I'll help you out. So to start with, you're going to get a baby, hopefully. They only live for about 1.5 years. And the actual praying mantis I'm talking about, which I recommended to him, are going to be giant Africans or giant Asians. They're pretty much bulletproof when in the mantis world. They don't need any specific high humidities or specific care. If you follow the basics, you're going to get on fine. So, for example, if you're going to get a baby, which I recommend you do, because like I say, they only live about 1.5 years and you want to get a good amount of time out of it. This is a baby in here. It's an L3. So the L3 means how many times it sheds since being born. The more it sheds, the more the L number goes up. So L3, L4, L5. So this is an L3. Now, to start off with, I use these cups. These are easy because they're easy to get hold of. They're not too big, not too small. They're perfect size, in my opinion. And the reason why I say the perfect size is because the tank needs to, or the container needs to be big enough for the mantis to shed their skin, but not too big that they can't find their food. So this little guy in here, is it a guy? Difficult to see actually. You can sex them by counting the segments of the body. This one's a little bit too small to do it right now. So yeah. The size of the container needs to be at least 3 times the length of the mantis in height. So this mantis is about 1 centimetre long. So the actual container needs to be about 3 centimetres in height to 4 centimetres, I'd say, roughly. This cup's obviously a lot bigger, but this is what I use to start off with because they're ideal. It also needs to be twice the length of the mantis in width. So the mantis is 1 centimetre. The tub needs to be at least 2 centimetres wide. However, like I say, not too big, they need to be able to find their food. A fine mesh lid that fruit flies can't get out of, held on by an elastic band. And there's also a little strip of kitchen roll going over the top and inside down to the bottom, not touching the bottom, but enough so the mantis can climb up it, get onto the mesh so when it sheds its skin or it's chasing fruit flies. Don't need any specific things inside there like branches or decor or anything like that at this stage. It's just to make sure the mantis is finding its food and shedding perfectly. Then you can increase the size of the container or tank, tub, whatever you're going to use to match the size of the mantis. So this is a converted drinks container. So when we had a local Wicks, these have a little tap which you can fit here. There's like a hole in the glass. You connect the tap and there's like a big metal lid. I got rid of the metal lid, mesh top, held on by an elastic band, and I've made a little door out of cardboard and tape just to seal that, and I can easily put food in there as and when I need to. And they can't get out, which is great. And then you can have things like the decor, the plants, a bit of substrate like soil, but I'll come on to the pros and cons about that in a moment. So that's the housing sorted. Then we're going to go on to temperature and humidity. Now, I find the best with these is room temperature or a little bit warmer. So this room in here is currently 23 degrees. It varies between 22 and 24 during the winter months. And in the summer, I try and control it. So it gets to around about 25, 26 degrees. Some of the thermostats go off, etc. So no problem. Not indirect light. You don't want it in direct sun. You don't want to cook the mantis. Obviously, this is going to act like a magnifying glass or a little greenhouse and it's going to cook. Humidity, you don't need to worry about humidity too much with the giant Asians and giant Africans. What I do personally is I give them a little light spray through the mesh lid, just a little once a day. That will cause a few droplets on the side, which the mantis can drink from, and it doesn't get too dry in there. But you don't want it soaking wet, so it's really humid. They won't like that. Those particular species anyway. If you want to go on something a bit more advanced, like orchid mantises or ghost mantises, you need to have a look at a different care video, different care sheet for that. Excuse the noise. There's a snake moving around somewhere in one of these vivs. And also the tegu back there's a little bit of a move around. Anyway, I digress. When it comes to decor, etc., you can put what you want in there, really, like sticks and stuff like that. Just make sure it's not being contaminated. So if you're going to use natural sticks, I would get the stick. This is what I personally do. I rinse the stick down. While it's wet, I either pop it in the oven at a very low temperature, but enough so it's going to cause the steam to evaporate and kill any little nasties and bugs in there that you don't want in the actual tank. I personally like to use things like fake plants, like this, which you get from pet shops. This little mantis here is a cryptic mantis, so this is just like a demonstration tub. So she's got a few fake plants in there, but make sure the plants are strong enough to hold the weight of the mantis. The substrate in the bottom, quiet. I have got some soil in here, and that's because I give this one in here some small crickets. They won't bury themselves. If I'm feeding, say, for example, the giant Asians or the giant Africans, because they eat a lot, they can eat a lot bigger foods. So I'll give them cockroaches. So a full-grown mantis about that big, I'll give a cockroach about this big, and that'll last them about 4 or 5 days. Now, if you put cockroaches in a tub with soil in it, they're going to bury themselves and the mantis won't find them. You can also use casters. So you can go to a fish and tackle shop or eBay, ask them for maggots or casters. Now, casters are the chrysalis version of the maggots. What I personally do is I use like a bait box. So it's got ventilated top. You only need to get a handful of maggots, pop them in there. I take a few of them out into a different tub and put the maggots in the fridge. I've got my own animal fridge, so they're not in the same fridge as the food, etc. Then what I do is the tub that's got the maggots or the casters that I'm keeping separate and not in the fridge, I'll keep them in the room and they'll pupate over time and then they'll hatch into flies. When they've hatched into flies, I put them back in the fridge for a few hours, and that makes the flies a bit dopey, a bit slow. Then what I can do is I can open the tub and I can take the flies out, pop them in, and then when they warm up, they can start flying around, and it's more natural for the mantis to chase them around and catch them and eat them. But when it comes to the babies, you're going to need to give them fruit flies. Now, fruit flies will come in a tub like this. Now, you can get them on eBay. This one, there's not many flies left in there, but there are still maggots. So the maggots are still going to pupate and turn to fruit flies. These are flightless fruit flies. Now, to get them from here into your tub, wherever I put that tub, can be tricky. I made my own pewter, or you can buy one. Basically, a pewter is, in my version, which I need to replace actually because this is getting quite old, just a plastic bottle with a tube fixed to the side, going inside, sealed, a hole in the lid, and a straw going through the hole, sealed at the top and inside. And on the end of the straw that's inside, I've put a little bit of mesh and taped it up. So nothing I suck can get through that tube. But when I do suck, things get sucked through this tube into the bottle. So I take the sponge off the tub, tube in, suck the flies up, get as many in there as I need, put the sponge back in. Because they're flightless, they're not going to fly out. But what I do is give it a tap. They go down to the bottom. Undo. Hold the lid open. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. Fruit flies go in. I'll seal it back up. Don't give them too many fruit flies because it can stress them out if there's like 20 flies buzzing around them. Just give them as many as they need as and when they're babies. I let them eat as much as they can every, say, 3 days. If you feed something too much too quickly, I find it shortens their lifespan. If you feed not enough, obviously they're going to starve. The great thing about mantis is the older they get, you know how fed they are by the thickness of their abdomen. So as they get, let me show you one actually. So this one second. I've just put this one in a different tub a moment. This mantis here, this is a giant Asian. Come on, up you come. She's got her wings now. She's a bit old, this girl. But before they get their wings, you can see the abdomen really clearly. Now, if it's looking quite thin, you know it could do with some food. If it's quite chunky like this one, I can't lift the wings up, then you know it's still got food inside it, it's still quite healthy, it's still doing well. You're getting a bit old now though, aren't you, girl? You've probably got she's probably about another month left. She's retired from workshops. I'm gonna pop her back in this tub a moment. 1 second. In you go. Good girl. Watch your legs. Watch your leg. Okay. Right, so that's container, food, humidity, water, we've done that. Breeding. If you get a female, and you've only got one female, at some point she is probably going to lay an egg sac. It's probably going to be infertile, but they have been known to reproduce by parthenogenesis. That means having an egg sac and babies without a male. So these are a couple of egg sacs which were laid in one of the tubs. Now what I've done is I've carefully removed them, and what I do is I hot glue them to the inside of an empty tub. So for example, this tub here, I'll make a lot of holes in the top. I'll put a bit of hot glue on the underside of the lid, and as it's cooling down and getting dry, I then carefully put the egg sac on that hot glue. Keep the lid up that way so it sticks. Once it's secure, I then put the lid back on the tub and the mantis egg sac will be inside, the ootka. After a couple of months, if it hasn't hatched, it's probably not going to. My ones take, in this room, around about 4 to 6 weeks to hatch. And then they'll hang down. What I do prefer to do as well is have like a branch going across, or maybe two, so that when the babies come out, they make a little groove in one of the sides, or there's a little, it's like a little vent sort of thing. And they'll come out, little babies on strings of silk, and they'll hang, so they're abseiling down, and they'll hold on to something like branch or a leaf or a bit of kitchen roll, whatever you're putting in there, and then they break off that bit of silk, and then they're happy running around. If you decide you're going to get a male and a female, and you're going to breed them, it can be quite brutal to watch, but it's nature. To give you a bit of a rundown for that, really. So because mantis have a brain in their head that controls inhibitions and what they're doing, their thought processes, and a brain in their belly which controls movement, the ganglia, what the female does is instinctively grabs the male, bites his head off. That gets rid of his inhibitions brain. So while she's eating his head, the headless body of the male will walk around the back of her, climb onto her like a zombie, and breed with her. Her hands are full, she can't reach him. Once she's finished, she still can't reach him, but he's still on board, and then eventually he's going to climb off or fall off. When he does, she'll normally see the rest of him and eat that. Great. Then you'll notice some egg sacs. Normally with, say for example, the giant African mantises, they can lay about 3 egg sacs per breeding session, and each one of those egg sacs can have up to 300 babies. So you're going to have a lot. And that's pretty much about it, really. I'll leave it there. If you've got any questions or queries, or anything you want to give me some advice on that you've found works well for you, then leave a comment. And I hope this serves you well as a sort of a short basic care video. Yeah, and what I'll do is, I think I've got some care videos on my YouTube channel about orchid mantis and ghost mantis, but if I haven't, I'll do those in due course. And if you can do me a favor and hit the like button for this video, if you like it, because it helps me get more videos out to more people, and then I can get more videos made, etc. And yeah, hopefully some videos that people want. If you've got any requests, please send me, and I'll do my best to do them for you. Okay, so in the meantime, take it easy, stay awesome. Cheers. Bye.
Look at all the seasons in your eyes, changing like the fall and summer's decline. You were not alone when you resigned. Again, secret of your heart not to divulge all the little things that make you whole. Keep them in the dark and you'll be fine. Again, you don't wanna know where I go, and you don't wanna see inside my soul, and you don't wanna feel like you're falling, my friend, falling, my friend, again. Or maybe it's the dream that you designed. Maybe I'm not quite what you define.